Hi everyone, my name is Jen Lowe. This is going to be a slideshow presentation and a voiceover for some of the information in Chapter 5 of our Cotman and Ashby textbook. You may not want to listen to this slideshow presentation. You might like it if you're an auditory learner. However, if you've already read that chapter, taken lots of notes, this is not going to be necessarily new information. It is completely based on that textbook chapter, and I'm going to be citing that on almost every slide here. All right, so chapter 5 is on what is tracking. Tracking is a basic play therapy skill used to describe literally and non-judgmentally what the child or the play objects are doing. It shows the child the therapist is paying attention to and values the communication in play. It serves three purposes. Number 1, the child knows you are paying attention. Number 2, builds a relationship with the child. Number 3, serves the same purpose as paraphrasing in adult therapy. How to track. What the child is doing. You picked that up. Notice the that. Or what the play object is doing. It is moving up and down. Notice the it. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute, okay? You picked that up. So that's what the child is doing. Or we can talk about what the object is doing. It is moving up and down. Matching style to child. Children who are resistant or defensive when their behavior is tracked may be more open and accepting when the tracking focuses on the play objects. Other children are more responsive to tracking that focuses on their behavior and less interested in tracking that focuses on play objects. Tailor your style to the child's way of connecting and communicating. That last sentence, I feel as though I might say that for chapter 6 content and chapter 7 content. You're going to hear me say that again and again and again. And our authors say that again and again and again. Tailor your style to the child's way of connecting and communicating. Things to avoid. Labeling the things. So, the cat is going up the tree. It is going up the tree. We don't know. And even the tree, to be honest, right? We don't necessarily know what that child is trying to pretend it is. This is one, the second one, you are putting the dragons in jail. You are putting them in there. I do have something in my playroom that looks a lot like a jail. Paris Goodyear Brown recommended it in one of her trainings. But for some kids, it might be prison. For some kids, they pretend it's a pet cage. Like if they were taking their cat to the vet and you put the cat in there to like carry it in the car. So it might not necessarily be a jail to every kid that comes in my playroom. So that one I have to be very careful not to say, you are putting the dragons in jail. You are putting them in there. If the child uses a label, then you can. If they call it a cage or a jail, spot, timeout place, then you can use that. If they say, I'm putting the dinosaurs in the jail, and then they keep playing that, and later on you say, oh, you put something else in the jail. However, they may change their mind later. Maybe the dinosaur was jumping last session, but this session it may be stomping. Monitor children's reactions to tracking. Watch the child's reaction to your statement. Many times children will directly correct you if your response does not fit with their image of what is going on. That's not right. It's not a place, it's a jail. They might even correct you if they don't like the style of tracking you picked. Don't always talk about what I'm doing. It's not me doing stuff in here, it's the toys. The puppet did not pick that up, I did. It wasn't me who knocked all the sand out. It was that truck over there. Nonverbal reactions to tracking. They looks at you in the eye, nods, throws a toy down and goes to the other side of the room. And sometimes there's a combination of verbal and nonverbal. Tracking. Pay attention and look for themes or patterns. It will give you insight into the children's thoughts and feelings. It shows you how they communicate. Look for patterns in how they respond to tracking. So if 4 sessions in a row, they don't like you when you track what the toys are doing and they say, oh, that truck didn't drive there. I drove over there. Or that doll didn't make the lemonade. I made the lemonade. So if you know that after a few, then look for those patterns. That way you can adapt. Okay. Example. Maybe during aggressive or intense play, they prefer you to track the objects, but other times they like you to acknowledge that they did that. You did that. You moved that. So it might depend on the emotion for what they prefer. Applications in different theoretical orientations. Non-directive approaches, child-centered, Jungian. They use this to interact with children. They track more than other play therapists do. They use it extensively in the initial sessions, occurs less often during middle and later sessions. Other approaches use it to establish a relationship. They also reduce it over time. But the other approaches, the more directive approaches, they will use other skills for interacting with the client. It can vary even within theories. This is going to be true for the slides I make for Chapter 5 and Chapter 6 and Chapter 7. This varies among play therapists within the same theoretical orientation. So you could observe 7 Jungian play therapists, and the amount that they track or how they track might be slightly different among them, right? It varies because it varies based on people's personalities, their interpretation of the theory, or their therapeutic style and comfort. I think I can think of an example. I don't, well, I'll include that in a different chapter of something that I reflect. If I don't like to reflect exactly back to what a kid said, so if they said, I'm really mad about that, if I say I'm really mad about that, I'm like, they just said that, right? Of course. So that's one of my things. I don't feel comfortable reflecting things like that back. If it's word for word or exactly what they just said. Yep, they told me that. Examples. There are some really great examples in your textbook. I highly recommend you check them out. I did make up one here, similar to one that was in the book. Tyler, age 8, picks up some beaded necklaces and wraps them around his body. You are putting them around your body. You put those on yourself. Or you could say it to the beads. You are all around Tyler. And then here is our reference. All right. Thank you all. Wishing you well in your studying.